copy of In Pursuit, The Hunt for the Beltway Snipers. And thanks again for joining us on this rainy Sunday.
Thank you very much.
You take care.
Well, that was a great interview. David has such energy and vitality, and he can really tell a story.
It was just really fascinating to hear the side of the police, what their role was. We heard a lot about the snipers, and he was absolutely right. We should not give them anywhere near the credit. The police did their job and took them down. They had a lot of challenges, too. You couldn't believe this is real, but we know it is because we kind of lived through it.
Yes. We wish David all the luck in the world, and we can't wait to see what he writes about in his next book. He's hard at work on the next book that he's writing.
And he's going to throw a little fiction in there, too. So let's see what he can do with that.
That'll be a lot different than this one, I'm sure. We have been fairly inundated with book requests from authors. We just don't have time to interview everyone. The books that we've been sent that we've agreed to read, we feel we need to give some of them a little shout out. We are going to try to feature one or two books.
These are books that we just, like she said, we do not have time to get to them all, but there are some that are just too good just to not give them some kind of a mention.
And so that's what we're going to do. Tracy, do you want to start with yours?
Absolutely. I have decided to highlight Murder in Deer Park by Gary Allen Ruse.
I would say Rusey.
If I'm saying this right, Ruse. This book, I would say it was a novella. It was about 120 pages long. Gary packed a lot of information in this short little book. It's something you could sit and read in one sitting, but I would suggest you don't because there's so much going on. I wanted to process it. Let me tell you a little bit about it. It's a wonderful historic mystery. It joins President Grover Cleveland and his young bride as their resort honeymoon is interrupted by a murder and intrigue, forcing the appealing couple to become detectives and solve the crime. The year is 1886. Grover Cleveland, the 22nd president of the United States, has taken a bride at age 49. The lovely 21-year-old Frances Folsom, married in the White House itself, they have raced by carriage. Meddlesome reporters trailed their every move. To take a private train to the Victorian Mountain Resort in Deer Park, Maryland, where they hope to share a wonderful honeymoon. Unbeknownst to them, there are dastardly schemes afoot, and the suspicious death of one of the reporters complicates things for the happy couple, forcing them to investigate the mystery with the help of the police and special agents guarding them. I knew that Grover Cleveland had gotten married in the White House, and I knew his bride was younger than him. That's where my knowledge ended. I didn't know they honeymooned here where I live in Maryland, and Gary did such a good job of weaving this mystery in with the true tale. It was just very well done. I hope that Gary decides to write more books like this and expand upon it, because I still can't believe this book was only 120 pages. Mom, I'm telling you, read it. You'll love it. It's just very well done. But Gary has been a professional writer of science fiction, mysteries, and techno thrillers since the 70s. He served as an Army reporter in Vietnam. He has 5 published novels: Houndstooth, A Game of Titans, The Gods of Cirrus Major, just to name a few. From what I understand, this is his only mystery. Now, he wrote this originally, I think it was in 2011, but I think he's trying to get it going again. And I hope that people do read this because it's a really good book. That's Murder in Deer Park.
Check it out. I am reporting on Staging is Murder by Grace Topping. Laura Bishop just nabbed her first decorating commission, staging for sale a 19th century mansion that hasn't been updated for decades. Victoria Denton hires Laura to stage her house for a quick sale. Laura is checking out the basement when Victoria's body comes barreling down the laundry chute and lands right at her feet. Her assistant, Tyrone, is the only person who has a key and was seen in the vicinity near the time of her death. Tyrone is arrested, and the police are certain that they have their murderer. Someone has to try to find the real killer, so Laura is elected. Laura is determined to find the killer. It turns out it's not as easy as renovating a manor house, especially with two handsome men complicating her mission. The police detective assigned to the case and the real estate agent trying to save the house from foreclosure. Laura understands she doesn't know how to conduct an investigation and that she might not find the answers. She refuses to give up even when her own life was threatened. Characters in this book are very likable. The introductions are done smoothly. Staging is murder, kept me interested and cheering for Laura as she tries to prove her assistant's innocence when a murder literally falls at her feet. As always, good characters are the main draw for me, and in addition to Laura and Tyrone, there are several that I enjoyed watching interact. The chapters in the book had tips for staging your house if you're going to sell it, like sprucing up things to make the house look less lived in and more like a TV set. Some of those ideas were really good. I recommend this book, and I look forward to reading more of Grace's book. I had the pleasure of meeting her when we were at Malice. Grace is a recovering technical writer and IT project manager, accustomed to writing lean, boring documents. She was let loose to write fiction and is now creating murder mysteries and killing off characters who remind her of some of the people she dealt with during her career. Good for her.
Yeah.
Fictional revenge is sweet. Grace is the current vice president of the Chesapeake chapter of Sisters in Crime and a member of the Sisters in Crime Guppies and Mystery Writers of America. She lives with her husband in Northern Virginia. I enjoyed this book. If you like a light book, if it is a cozy, it had a little different flair to it. It wasn't the usual small town cozy.
We get sent so many wonderful books, but we have to make a decision on what books make it. But that doesn't mean that the books that don't aren't as good.
Yes, we have a pile of them we have to get through. We'll start with those two, and that brings us to the end of this episode. Please visit our website at itwasadarkandstormybookclub.com, where you can sign up for our newsletter, check out any of our other episodes that we've done.
And please support these authors, Grace Topping, David Reichenbaugh, and Gary Allen Roos. They're wonderful. You can support them by buying their book. You can support them by following them on social media.
And tell your friends about the books. If you like them, pass it on to friends. Say,
Yes.
hey, you ought to read this. That's how we get a lot of books. You ought to read this one. I really like it. That's how this whole thing got started. We had so many books we liked. If you like what you hear, we can be supported by Patreon at ever you can give.
You can go to patreon.com/darkandstormybc. That'll take you to our donation page.
Yes, I hope you'll consider helping us get new equipment so we don't have to sit under a tent in the summer to keep our microphones from reverberating. Well, that's it. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. And remember,
Life would be boring without a little mystery.
bye.